it has a decent little sound to it. Give you guys a couple revs here. It's back, baby. The 1100 is back, all fixed up, got some new meat on her. All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm out here with the 750. Made a video coming over here for you guys about the CBR 1100 and where we are with that fairing issue. But today, right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the 750 and what I'm going to do to keep it running good, get some more longevity, length of life out of this bike. So first and foremost, again, this is a 1995 GSXR 750, and I also have, you guys know, that blue and white 98 1100, which is basically the same body style of this bike here, but with the 1100 engine in it, and that does have a Yoshi pipe on it. But this bike here, 750 95 year. And that previous video that I updated you guys on this bike showed you what it looked like when I first got it, that fully stock version of this bike, which looked good but a little dull. And so I'm going to go here and talk a little bit about my newbie riders. Basically, when I got this bike, it was my first bike. Not my first ever motorcycle, but my first real bike, the one I could ride legally out on the street without worrying about the you-know-who. But first legal bike, first bike I was able to ride with my motorcycle endorsement after taking my basic rider skill course up at Tri-C here in Cleveland, Ohio, on the street called Harvard in Beechwood, Ohio. But went out and purchased this bike for $1,300, pretty sure, if I remember correctly. It might be a little more than that, maybe. But real cheap bike. The guy was selling it. He said his mother was in the hospital, was having some issues, and he just really needed some money. He had it sitting for a while. Had 2 flat tires. Needed brakes. Needed a new chain. Needed an oil change. Needed a new filter, plugs. And basically I had already was going to do that stuff anyway, but after looking over the bike and doing my pre-trip inspection of the bike, which all you newbies should do before you even purchase a used bike, even if it's from a dealership, and I'm kind of learning that a little bit myself from my CBR issue, and I know bikes now, but always remember to check over every single little thing and try not to be too much of a tire kicker. That's what everybody says when you're going to buy a used bike from somebody. But sometimes don't let that kind of sway you from not being that type of guy, because certain guys sometimes try to hide things. One good example is guys that try to overfill their bikes with oil to hide a ticking noise. So some of you newbies might not know that. Especially for some older bikes, they might try to hide some other issue with the bike, like it not starting every third time you try to start it, or it not starting initially when it's cold. So for like cold starts, it'll only start good when it's warm and ready and the battery's all good. Some people might try to hide a battery issue, so that's stuff you got to look out for. Some people might try to hide some wiring issue stuff. If you see a bunch of tape or off-colored tape that doesn't look OEM, that might be a sign for you right there. But going back to the situation with this particular bike and my situation, for my newbies, I wanted to basically mod this bike. When I got it, it was my first bike. I wanted to change some things on it. Obviously, if you guys have watched my walk around video of this bike, you know all the mods that I've done to this bike. Wanted to change the levers, the grips, bar ends, tires, obviously all the oil change, the mechanic stuff. Didn't do a whole lot of cosmetic stuff. I left the bike its original color, and remember, I didn't like the color scheme of this bike at first just because it was purple and to me that was kind of like a girly color. So after I want to say about 8 months, the color really grew on me, especially the orange and black of this bike, which is why I added orange accent pieces to this bike, and orange lights, orange rim reflective tape, orange or goldish looking sliders, rear end sliders, gold bar ends and levers. And one of the issues I'm still having with this bike is the clutch lever side. And honestly, I think it's going to be that same issue that I'm having with my, or issue that I had with that 1100, is with this clutch piece right here. It's basically a safety switch to allow your bike to start when you pull the clutch in. With these older bikes, you got to pull the clutch in to start the bikes. And with what was going on with my 1100 bike, if you guys have watched that video, when I first got my 1100 back from Rider's Choice, they're a really good shop that I take my bikes to fix issues like that. But this piece right here was bad, and I'm thinking this may be bad, but again, I don't know, because it starts just fine with my OEM lever, but as soon as I try to put my shorty clutch lever, the same as this one, just the opposite side, but as soon as I go to put that one on and try and pull the clutch in to start the bike does nothing, just like my 1100 was doing when it had that issue. And to get it to start, which Rider's Choice Bela, who owns the shop, he knew exactly what to do, because he works on a bunch of these, or he used to work on a bunch of these older bikes, but knows a lot about them. All you had to do was move the clutch lever up and down this way, and then hold the starter button, and that's how he figured out it was that sensor, that safety switch, clutch safety switch sensor, that wasn't allowing the bike to start. So he put a new one on, and that's what got the 1100 bike to start. So I'm iffy about if it's that on this bike. So I'm going to take it to him anyway to see if he can get me a shorty lever that will work and start, or have the bike start when I pull the clutch in, because that's the issue that I was having on this bike, which is why I've just reverted back to my OEM clutch lever and left it like that. But you guys remember I did put a orange chain on this bike too, to go along with the rest of the orange stuff I've put on this bike. As you know now, it's been about 4 years, and my rim tape is finally starting to peel off in some places, so I got to patch that up. But it lasted pretty long, so I'd give those Custom Tailor 33 reflective rim tape thumbs up. The newest thing that I put on this bike was the chain guard. I got that actually from Rider's Choice when I got my blue 1100 fixed by them with that clutch issue. Picked that up for the 750. It looks really good. Shows a little bit of the chain right here, which is the cutouts of the GSXR. But going back to the chain here, as you can see, I'm all the way back to the end of my chain adjustment, so that's letting me know that my chain here is kind of whooped out and ready to be changed. So I'm going to actually go to a gold chain for my next chain on this bike. So now we're going to get into the longevity of this bike. Some things I want to do and change out on this bike is going to put a new clutch in this bike, going to change out the plugs, gonna put that new chain on the bike. So that's something that will give the bike a little bit more longevity, because I kind of feel like with riding the bike now that my clutch is kind of going to its last limb. And just a quick 10-second tutorial or words of wisdom on your clutches. When your bike starts to rev up a lot more when you're pulling on the throttle and you're not going as fast as you feel like you should be going. That's kind of like an indicator of or you need a new clutch, basically. So that's something that will give the bike some more life and longevity. Obviously changing out your fluids, that's the first thing that you guys all should be doing, especially my newbies. Make sure you are changing your oil. Just like on a car, you should be changing your oil all the time for your intervals. Make sure I write this stuff down in my phone so that I know the next time when I need to change my oil. I put the miles that I changed my oil on, and then that subtracted by the previous miles that I changed my oil last, and then that'll give me an indication on my new mileage of when I need to go ahead and change my oil again. So that's something that's really smart for my newbies, for you guys to learn. You can do that. All you need is your notepad on your phone. All you guys got phones, I know you do. Just write it down, or if you don't have a cell phone, which I don't know who doesn't nowadays, but write it down on a piece of paper, put it in a folder. I do that with my Dodge Ram pickup truck. I have a folder with a notepad in it, and I write down every time I change my oil, all my fluids, when I've rotated my tires, stuff like that, blah blah blah. But it's just giving you an indication on when you need to do that stuff again to make your vehicles last longer, because I have 220,000 miles on that Dodge Ram pickup truck, and it's still going. I've got how many miles on this bike? We got 26,935 miles on this 95 GSXR 750, and it's still riding good. And we're gonna go ahead and get this clutch changed, new plug, new filter. You guys already know I'm gonna change the oil and stuff like that, and get new tires too put on the bike, because these tires are getting pretty bald here. They still got maybe I want to say 15% life left on them. I know some guys ride around with the threads showing on them. I can't do that. I want to stay safe, so gonna have a little bit of fun after I make this video for you guys to go ahead and waste the rest of these tires out, if you know what I mean. And go ahead and order myself some new tires to put on this bike. But not going to go any further, guys. Just another update video on the GSXR 750, talking with you guys about it, showing it to you guys, and showing it some love, because I've been neglecting the 750 a little bit after I got my new bike. As you guys know, CBR 1000RR Repsol Edition bike. And when you get your new toys, you want to ride and play with your new toys, and you forget and neglect your old toys. So gotta show some love to my first bike. Gotta let it know that still my baby, still my baby, still my baby. I still love you. You brought me a long way. Learned a lot on this bike, so I can't forget you, and why I still haven't sold this bike. But that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.